Your genes are not your destiny, and your height isn't what writes your story. We're going to dive in today about epigenetics and how science is now showing that those who have experienced famine or trauma have actually shown signs that those changes have affected their genes across generations. So get comfy cozy and let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Energetics. My name's Sarah and I'm so grateful you're here today. You know, there's one question that I get asked over and over again, and I've asked myself this over and over again, and it's why do I keep doing this? Why do I panic when everything is finally going well? Why do I feel guilty the moment I rest? Why do I always expect something bad to happen? Why do I push people away while desperately wanting to be loved? These aren't just questions. They become background noise, and eventually we stop paying attention to them. And when we stop paying attention to them, when we stop asking these questions with curiosity about why we're doing the things we're doing, we start asking them with shame. What's wrong with me? Maybe you yourself have whispered those words to you before. Maybe you've looked at your life and thought, I know better. I've done the work. Why am I still reacting like this? I've done therapy. Why am I still getting angry about this? So today, I want to offer you a different question, not what's wrong with me, but what if my body has been protecting me in ways I don't yet understand? For me, that question really changed my life, and maybe it will change yours too. So let's go a little bit deeper here and rewind all the way back. Because for a long time, at least when I was growing up, we were taught that our genes are our destiny, right? We inherit our eye color, our hair color, our height, and that was the end of the story. But science is actually showing that for the first time, that's not the truth. Science is showing us that something much more fascinating is occurring, and that our genes are not just a life sentence, but they're more like a possibility. So what changes is how some of those genes are expressed. That is the difference here. And when we look at the science of how genes are expressed, that's called epigenetics. And the word simply means above the genes. It refers to tiny chemical markers that help regulate which genes are more active or less active without changing the DNA itself. So when you think about your DNA, if you think about it like, let's say, a keyboard or a piano, the piano doesn't change, right? The keys always stay the same. You have your black keys, your white keys, and they're always in the same spot. They always follow the scale. But the music can change depending on which keys are played together. Our lived experiences, our environments, our relationships, our stress and nourishment, all of that becomes part of the music. All of our experiences and how we've lived and digested life becomes part of the notes we're playing. They become the final product. So research has found that certain experiences can influence patterns of gene activity. So when they looked at animals and did a bunch of studies on animals, they found that in severe events such as famine or trauma, the evidence suggested that some of these changes may have extended across generations. So scientists are still studying how often this happens and how long that lasts and what it means. And I remember hearing growing up that family went through the potato famine in Ireland, and that's why That's why we carry more weight in our hips, so on and so forth. But epigenetics is actually showing that some of this actually might be true. So let's imagine your grandmother. Maybe she lived through war or poverty or the potato famine or abuse. Maybe she had to become strong before she ever had the chance to feel safe. She wasn't thinking about passing anything on. She was just surviving every day and every minute. Then she became a mother, and your mother grew up inside of that environment. She learned what love looked like, what safety looked like, what stress felt like through her experience of being raised by her mother. Then one day your mother carried you, and before you ever even opened your eyes, before you whispered your name, before you took a breath, your body was already developing inside another body. Your first home wasn't a house, it was a womb. And that womb isn't just where life begins, it's where relationship begins. It's where the rhythm of life begins. It's where sound, stress, calm, connection all begins to be felt. You didn't understand words, but your body was able to understand sensation. And what that means is that every experience within the womb starts to determine your future. Now, I'm not saying that everything that happens within the room keeps us on one path and one path only, and what happens in the womb is definitely what's going to happen in the future and how we react and live our life. But what I'm saying is our lives are very much shaped by influences in the womb before birth as well as after birth. So our relationships, our communities, our choices, and our capacity to adapt. It reminds us of something really important, and that is that our bodies have been learning from the very beginning what is normal within this lifetime's experience. And a lot of the time when we are exposed to the same thing over and over again, high stress over and over again, and that becomes our normal, it gets to be really hard to veer off of that pattern. And veering off of that pattern into calm, where we're sitting with our thoughts or meditating, can trigger panic attacks and fear and discomfort, more discomfort than actually being in that high stress environment. So take that as you wish. And let's keep going here, because what fascinates me about epigenetics isn't the fact that the body doesn't wait for language to learn, but it learns through repetition. So if something happens over and over again, like that high stress area, your body is going to then begin to adapt. And that's what our bodies do. They keep us alive. And if love feels unpredictable, say that situation isn't high stress, it's detachment from a parent or someone like a mother or a father, or those people who love you all of a sudden love you full capacity and then take that love away. So it feels unpredictable. Your body's going to adapt to that. Stress is consistent. The body's going to adapt. If you have to stay quiet, right? You're to be seen and not heard. You're going to adapt. These adaptations are brilliant. They're not flaws. They're evidence that your body was doing the best it could with the information it had. The problem is what once protected us during these times, and still to this day, can begin to limit us. And not because our body is working against us. I think we hear a lot of that. You need to fix this and fix that, and your body's doing this and working against you. I think of it more as your body is still following its safety guide, its old map. And in order to shut that map and draw a new one or follow a new action plan, it takes a lot of unlearning and untangling of what was mine, what is truth, and what is systemic effects of environment and those within it. When women come and work with me, I often ask, what are you feeling? If you quiet all the noise around you right now, what's showing up within you in this moment in time? And a lot of women respond saying, I don't know what's wrong with me. There's a difference between what comes from shame and what comes out of curiosity. And curiosity changes everything. When we ask and say, not ask, but when we say rather, I don't know what's wrong with me, that's shame. But when we ask, I'm not sure what's here, it feels like something's wrong. Something's maybe not sitting right. That changes everything. We're coming forward with compassion, because when we're curious, you stop fighting against yourself. You start rather listening to your thoughts, listening to your body, listening to your breath. And we get to flip the switch and kind of look at ourselves from an external angle. And not only do we stop fighting ourselves, but we begin to understand that we're not the enemy. That tight chest that we're feeling isn't awful. It doesn't mean that we're a broken person. Maybe it's just here as a messenger. Maybe that racing heart isn't here to ruin your day. Maybe it's asking, do you feel safe? Pay attention. Do we feel safe right now? Why? Right? Put on that Nancy Drew hat. What else is here? Maybe that tension in your belly, that tightness isn't necessarily that you're broken, but maybe it's a story waiting to be heard. The body doesn't speak English, and I think we often forget that. It speaks through sensations. And when we slow down enough to listen, we often discover that our symptoms have been speaking for us all along. If you've ever had a session with me, you know that my body, I call it like, it turns into that human MRI machine. I sit in your energy and speak with you, and I pick up on all these sensations. Your body's talking to me through felt senses, so I can all of a sudden feel that tension in your right shoulder, that clenching in that jaw, or that pain in your lower back, the turning of your belly. I can feel all those things because that's how your body's speaking to me. It's a different language. Now, when we sit in session and when we begin to get curious, this is where untangling begins. We're not fixing, we're not forcing, we're not becoming someone else, right? We do not need to be fixed. We do not need to be healed. We are simply untangling from judgment to curiosity. Instead of asking, why am I like this? We're now asking, what is this response to? What am I trying to be protected from right now? So instead of pushing feelings away, we sit beside it, not in it. We sit beside it and we hold its hand and we say, how can I help? How can I serve? What are you trying to tell me? We let it finish its sentence because the body holds such incredible wisdom, and it sometimes shouts when it's not heard, but generally it whispers. And untangling, it's all about learning to hear those whispers. And I get to empower you and sit with you and show you how remarkable your body is, one breath at a time, one pattern at a time, one thread at a time. Your body is extraordinary, and I can guarantee it's trying to speak to you each and every day. So next time you have that headache, what was I just thinking about? Okay, what else is showing up in my body right now? Am I worried? What about if that right arm is just aching and aching and aching? What's here? Am I trying to be in control and I'm squeezing my hand with a death grip on a decision that I am dead set on, but might not be serving me? And maybe I need to release my grip a little bit. Maybe the body's showing up and telling you, hey, this isn't even yours. That fear you have of abandonment isn't because you've been abandoned. You have no reason for it. You have a loving family, great relationship. But guess what? Your grandmother did not. And she was abandoned by her husband. She was abandoned by her father. And now you're sitting here and you're terrified that you're going to be abandoned like she was, because that's been passed down generation to generation, and it lives within your body, within your genes. So take some time today, and you may want to grab a piece of paper and a pen or the notes app on your phone and write at the very top, what am I holding on to? And then you can take it further. What am I holding on to that isn't mine? And free write. Don't think about what you're writing. Don't overthink. The first thing that comes to mind, and it could start off really silly, like I'm holding my Diet Coke, right? Let that move through. Write it down. And eventually those layers like an onion are going to peel off and peel away. And you're going to get to some roots. and sit with that and digest it. And you can share with me, you can send me email, you can reach out on Instagram and share, and we can digest it together. But if you are someone who wants to go even deeper into this work, I highly recommend scheduling a one-on-one session with me so we can go into the generational untangling. That is your genetic structure and your energetic imprint. So if this podcast at all helped you understand even just a little bit more about yourself, or maybe spark something that you want to dive a little deeper into, please share, please leave a review, subscribe. It really truly helps get these messages out to others that might be looking for these answers and this information. And I'm so grateful. Every little bit helps. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Everything is linked in the show notes, the email you can reach me at, the social media links, everything. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, keep untangling one thread at a time.